Awesome. Here we are. Oh my God, there's faces. Everybody's here in person. And then I'm sure we've got a lot of people online this evening. Welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you guys here joining us. This is our incredible HowMoneyWorks Essentials Money class that we try to get to you guys maybe once or twice a month, but it is so crucial and it's so important that you guys are here tonight and this evening because we have such incredible information that we want to share with you. And I'm just so honored to be here. My name is Bianca Messina, and I am a marketing director here with Transamerica and WealthWave. And I really just can't believe the incredible people that I get to really bring up this evening. Originally, it was started as a women's event, and then we decided we need to open up the room here to the incredible men here that also need to learn some really great essentials and to be able to kind of really just house everybody and make sure that we're getting to the parents, the children, the wives, the husbands. We don't want to leave anybody out here. So just a little bit about my story here and why I chose WealthWave. I came from a restaurant background. I have a college degree, never used it, right? I've racked up a ton of student loan debt and decided that I didn't want to make $30K a year when I graduated and then really just be pinned down by my student loan debt. I don't know if some of you guys have student loan debt that you're still paying off right now. We can help with that. And so really, I just wanted to make more of an impact, right? And I just felt, yes, I have a college degree and now I'm working in the restaurant industry and I just don't think this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And luckily somebody invited me to something similar to this, where they educated me about what we're doing and how we're helping and serving families, really just educating people on financial illiteracy, right? That is the #1 economic crisis in the world right now. And that is what has totally changed my thought on financial services and changed my career essentially. And I'm just so grateful that we have the tools and resources now to come and help every family that is willing to learn and willing to put these tactics into place so that we can change their life. So really before this book had come out, this incredible resource, How Money Works here, people really just didn't understand how money works. I'm sure a lot of us have seen these financial books that were maybe this big. I think most of us in college, when we wanted to do accounting or become a CPA or something of that nature, it really just looked intimidating, right? And I think that's what they tried to make it look like for us as we were growing up. And our parents just didn't know anything about it either, right? And so how do they pass down something that they don't know about? And so we get to kind of be the pioneers and really trailblaze here and really change it up, educate people with some really simple, essential concepts here in this book. Called How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, that our incredible founders, Tom Matthews and Steve Siebold, both are self-made millionaires, wanting to change the world, right? They started small and they just grew and grew and grew. And so many people wanted to join forces with them. And so they came out with this book. It's literally a 5th grade reading level, like pictures, charts, they break it down super easy. And it's actually become the #1 financial book for 2021 and even 2020. And I know it's going to be the same for years and years to come. But this book is going to help kind of break things down today for us to really show you how you can change your financial future and how it really changed the financial futures of everybody that I'm going to bring up today. So I'm going to be introducing a few people here, incredible women that I've had such a pleasure of working with. I'm actually going to start with introducing my Tenza Nguyen. She is the heart and soul of our office here. She came from a financial background. I love telling people that she was afraid to even speak to people when she got started in the industry. Broken English, she had to learn how to speak to people. She's laughing. You told me you didn't even know how to speak English very well, and that this kind of really got you out of your, this was 20 years ago. So it really just got her out of her shell, right? And she wanted to help people. And now she's incredible at speaking and moving and really just wanting to help make an impact for people. The person that Rainey now is going to be coming up after Tenza, I'm super excited about. She is literally about to pop and I'm like so excited for her. And in the best way, like she is glowing right now. She's got what, 2 months until you're bringing a beautiful angel into the world. But this is exactly why she got started in the business, right? She wants to be a present mother. She wants to change her children's life, right? She came from being in the airlines. She worked in corporate America, right? She climbed that corporate ladder and she just knew that there was something else and something more out there that she wanted to be able to get back for. And this was going to be the vehicle for that. And then last but not least, the amazing Marlis Nash is going to be coming up. shortly after that, she is just really a powerhouse to be reckoned with, right? So she works with our company at WealthWave and then also is in mortgages. And these women have really no similar background whatsoever. Really, the only thing they have in common is just wanting to be incredible moms, wanting to be incredible women for the world. Marlis is always telling us about her grandchildren, her amazing daughters, and her everything that she's been impacting, right? But she knew that this is going to be something in some way for her to do more than just mortgage, and they actually pair super well together. So it's really just been a blessing for her, and I love seeing all the things that she's able to accomplish by having both, working with both every single day. So I'm going to hand it off now for Tenza to come up here and just bring it down to the house tonight. Thank you, Tenza.
Thanks, everyone. I know, I didn't know I have broken English. I guess now you can tell. Now you can tell.
This started in 1990.
All right, so, thank you, Bianca, for opening it up. It's so great. And it's funny you said that because, what you said was exactly the reason why I came to this company. I came here as a college student. I just usually went to school for finance and accounting major, double major, right? So you would think like, oh yeah, she knows all about money and all that stuff. No, the only thing I was good at is to be frugal and to save money. But then that, as I look back now, the other side, the flip side of that is I was constantly worried, right? Because the reason I was frugal is because I was worried I didn't have enough money, right? I always say because I'm afraid of running out of money. Right? It's like, what would happen if I don't have, enough money? Will I ever have enough money? All that stuff. It's like constantly worried. And I just realized that, I work way too hard for money, but I did not have peace of mind. I'm like, that's not fun. So that was my desire. I just want to learn to have more money, to be in a better financial situation. That's all I know what to, how to put it at that time. I was so young. I was like in my mid-20s. Didn't know any better. So someone told me about this company. And I came here and kind of like, in 1 hour, the things that I heard from this class, and I'm kind of like, wow, I learned more from this 1 hour than I think I was in college for 4 or 5 years at that time. And I majored in finance and accounting. I was like, shoot, I learned more from this event, right, than my 5 years in college. That's crazy. So that's what intrigued me. And I realized that, I will learn more when I'm actually closer to the information, to the sources of information. And so that's why I started here. And then the next step that I took was that I actually, worked with one of my colleagues now in applying all these concepts that I learned from that 1 hour event. And that's what I realized later on too, is that, we could have the knowledge, we would like read books and all that stuff. The one thing most people miss is the guidance and the support that actually help us change our habits, that actually help us implement what we learn and take action. Because you can have all the knowledge you want, but if we don't take action on it, is there anything's gonna change? No. And so I was like forever grateful for kind of like how the company's set up to have someone to work with me one-on-one on that. So fast forward 20 years later, looking back at my situation, I'm like, you know what? I never thought or would ever dream that I would be where I am today financially. And I'm a big believer of this. If I got a chance and I got some help to be where I am now, then everyone else deserved to get that chance too. Right? That's why I'm excited, and I'm kind of like, I've been doing this event for, I don't know, since 2007, 2008. So 14 years I've been doing this because I truly, again, believe that everyone needs to know about this. And we need to share all this information because so many people don't know. So many people don't know about the information that we're going to share with you. So my job, don't you love this? When I first read the book, and I saw the word sucker, of course, right? My English, broken English. I understand everything. I understand everything in the literal sense. So when I read the word sucker, I'm like, I don't think that's good because what if people get mad at me for calling them sucker, right? But I totally get it, right? Totally get it when I read more into the book, and it's right. It's like we don't understand money. it's not fun, right? Life is not fun, right? It takes up a lot of our time because we have to spend more time working more to have more, to keep up, to catch up. So that's why we call it, stop being a sucker. But let's go into the concept. My job today is to share with you the key financial concept that we teach. We teach our client. The first one is compound interest. So what is compound interest? Okay, compound interest is basically you earn interest, your money grow by earning interest on interest. It's compound, right? Compound interest. See, that's how I understand things. Very little. So let's take an example. Let's go deeper into the concept. There's two principles of how your money grows. One is simple interest and the other one is compound. Let's go into simple interest. What does that mean? So simple interest means you earn the same dollar amount of interest, okay, on your account based on your original investment amount. So in this example, we start out with $1,500 to invest, earning 9%. So what it means is that every year you earn the same dollar amount of interest on your account. Okay, 9% of 1,500. So after 50 years, that 1,500 will grow to $8,250. Cool? Compound interest, here's the difference. Instead of earning the same dollar amount on your money every single year, what the difference is this: your second year, what you earn is the interest is based on the 1,500, your original investment amount, plus the interest that you earn on the first year. So what does that mean? Every year, the dollar amount of interest that you earn is more, higher than the previous year, because a combination, right, of everything you have in your account. So as a result, after 50 years earning the same amount of interest, 9%, with compound interest, you would have $132,000 versus $8,200. Which one would you rather have? I would rather have this, okay? So then another factor in this growth principle that matter is the rate of return. So let's look at this example, okay? Here's an example. If we put $178 a month into saving, okay, and our money earns different rate of return here. From age 25 is when we start making this investment or start saving to age 67. If your money earns 1%, okay, at age 67, you will have $111,000. But if it earns 3%, you have $179,000. Let's jump to 9%. Okay, if we earn 9% on our money, we would have $1 million. So guess what? The rate of return really matters a lot, okay? It really helps us to have more or less based on that. The other concept, super important, helped me a lot, and I think I'm super fortunate for this, is the time value of money. So the 3 action steps that is super important to make this work is 1, to start now. You have to start saving now. 2, we need to save regularly. And 3, probably the hardest thing is to be patient, all right? And wait until the time we actually want to use the money. So here's an example. I love this chart. So the idea is this: the longer we wait to start saving, the more we need to save to get the amount we want. So in this example, as look at say, to have $1 million by the time we're 67, okay? If we start saving at age 20, we only need to save $113 a month. But fast forward, if we start saving at age 45, to get the same amount of money, $1 million at age 67 to retire, we need to save $1,200 a month. Which one is easier to do? To save $113 a month or to save $1,200 a month? But here's the thing, right? This is where the lack of education comes in. I'm kind of like, you know what? If someone showed me this when I'm like age 18, when I start getting a job, if someone told me that, hey, if you start saving now at age 20, you only need to save this. But if you wait until 45, you have to save this. I think all of us would basically say, okay, let's start saving at age 20. But the problem is that we did not get taught this, right? We didn't know. By the time we realized this, it's too late. So that's our goal again, is to help people, more and more people, to see this, the importance of start early. So one of the concepts that I think illustrate The Power of Time, Value of Money. Our author, the book came up with this concept called the $1 Million Baby. It's actually a strategy. It's a strategy to leave a legacy to your family. Okay, there's so many different ways to do it, but this strategy shows this. You get to choose, right? We all have choices, right? But which plan do you think is more realistic? Okay, to us, number one is to leave each of our kids, we have more than one, right? To leave each of our kids $1 million of our inheritance money, our personal saving over the years. So imagine that. Right? How many people do we know who have more than or a few $1 million to leave $1 million to each of their kids? Not a lot, right? But the other way is, how about this? Start saving a small amount when they're young, and then take advantage of the time and let that money grow to $1 million by the time they retire. Take advantage of the time, right? Because we have to live and spend the time anyway. So here's the number. This is what the number would look like. If we start saving $13,000 by the time the child is born, and just let it grow. In this example, we use 6.5% annual return on our money. Okay, that 13,000 could grow to $1 million by the time the baby is 6 to 7 years old. Right, we start with 13,000. Okay, another option is this. Let's start with 2,500 instead of 13,000. Start with 2,500, and then every month for the next 4 years, we save a $250 per month for 4 years, still growing at 6.5%. By the time we retire, we could have $1 million. So imagine this, if our parents knew this and they start one of these options, we would have $1 million by the time they're 67, right? Very rare that we see people at age 67 have $1 million, right? So there's so many different ways that this strategy can be used to build wealth for our kid. Then the next one, okay, so I have a poll question for you. If you're here in the audience, please raise your hand. And if you're watching online, just click yes or no. Are you familiar with the Rule 72? You ever heard of the Rule 72, the concept? Okay, but one person raised their hand here. Thank you. Yay, thank you. Okay, so what is the Rule 72? It's basically a formula, I say, that show you how long it would take for your money to double. We take 72 divided by the interest rate that we earn. So let's look at this. If our money earns 1%, it would take 72 years for our money to double. Who here have 72 years to wait to see our money to double, right? I think I'm the youngest one here, and I don't think I have it. So, but then versus if our money would grow, oh yay! Okay, we have the answer for the poll. 29% of the audience said that they have not heard, are not familiar with the Rule 72, and 71% are familiar with that. That's actually a great ratio. So let's look back to this. If our money grows at 9%, our money would double every 8 years. Would we like to see our money double every 8 years? Or never at all? Right? The reality is never at all, because we would not see the 72 years. So here's the reality though. And this is where it's kind of like fuel us or motivate us to talk to everyone. You see, here's a list of all the bank. Oh, here all the bank, right? This is the savings rate that they pay to their client. The bigger the bank that you see have the lowest rate of return that they pay to the customers. So imagine the reality is that there's $10 trillion sitting in these accounts. $10 trillion sitting in these accounts, earning a lot less than 1%. A lot less than 1%. Okay, so what we're gonna share with you next is our action plan. Our 7 money milestone is in the book. Recommend you to get the book. And so this is basically what we help our clients implement the knowledge, right? And of course, we have the best person to share that, because Rainey is a prime example of how by implementing this plan and take action on this, it has changed her family future, financial future forever. So with that, I'll hand it over to Rainey.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a little bit about myself, about why I came into business here. It's a really fascinating story. As Tenza mentioned, I came from aviation, but before that, in one of my lives, I was one of the serial job hoppers, right? We all know that where one's not working and you skip to the next thing. And so what I was doing is I was working in hospitals in the medical field. I was studying nursing, and I'm 5 classes before nursing school is over, right? And I'm eavesdropping on the staff behind me. It was a doctor and a nurse. And I remember hearing them complain about long hours, and they were restricted in their vacation time, and God, they were in student loan debt, right? And I'm like, I don't really know if I want that life, right? And I would come back and I'd listen, and I'm like, their scrubs aren't even ironed, and they have bags under their eyes, and they're outside smoking. And I'm like, I don't really know. If I'm already $35,000 in debt, I was looking at another $55,000 in student loan debt to finish nursing school. So I'm coming out with a mortgage, and I'm like, it's time to make a change. I don't know if this is it. And so when I came out, my husband says, well, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm gonna travel. Okay. So I ended up working for the airlines. I worked part-time and I worked my way up, was promoted 3 times in 2 years. But here's what happened. So on paper, I looked good, right? I was a college dropout at this point. So my family's like, are you nuts? You have a good job. What are you doing? But I realized, and for many of you who are here in Colorado, it would snow and you would know, right? Our winters are brutal. So I'd pack a bag and I'd lug to the airport because I knew I'd probably be stuck there. I had 112 employees that reported to me. So I looked good, right? But I knew I might be stuck. So what I realized was I really wasn't saving money, right? My husband and I were making about 6 figures, and I was like, well, we're not keeping this. So we got to do something different. And so we initially came as a client, and our speaker, Chris Felton here, will cover it. But what I realized was I got the help that I needed, but where did that start? How did I get here? Well, I didn't have a financial education, right? School never taught me that. My folks never taught me that. My community never taught me that. And so that's one of the things I love about our company is when we sit down with our clients, we have a world-class education, a financial education that's comprehensive and really easy to follow, right? To make sure that it's on everyone's level. And I love that we service the 94% of the population that are forgotten about. But of course, you do that with a financial professional, which I love, right? You're not going to see an unlicensed doctor. Why would you do the same for your money? And so with proper protection, I'm a storyteller here, so bear with me, okay? So proper protection, this one really hits home for me in 2 areas of my life. One was, when you think of proper protection, we often think of life insurance, right? October 2020, my oldest sister, 45 years young, passed away unexpectedly. We get the call and we don't hear, she passed away on a Friday. We don't hear anything back until Sunday, and it's like, hey, come down to Tampa. So we run down to Tampa and we're trying to figure it out, and nobody really knows where any of her documents are, how much money's there. She has 2 children. No one knows anything. Well, when we get there, it was all kind of a delusion. And here I was in just trying to wrap my mind around that I lost my sister. But when I get to the burial site, I realized there was no funeral. There were no words spoken of her. There was no music. There was nothing. There was one prayer. And when I looked up from the prayer, the gentleman said in a real thick Arab accent, because the prayer was done in Arabic, he says, you men go dig. And they pull up this big dump truck and dump this huge amount of sand. And I'm watching my dad and my brother shovel my sister into the ground. Now think about that. Just like what I thought, seeing that happen, I said, well, what happened here? Where there was no money. And it was then I was like, this is why I do what I do. And I came back with a different mission. That no family should ever have to go through that. Because does money replace a person? No, never, it never does. But it makes those times and those resources that we have to carry on without that loved one a little bit easier. So that's proper protection. Now, the second story when we think of proper protection, or what I also think of was, well, why didn't she have enough money? She was an entrepreneur. She was an accountant for 20 some years. She was fine. She was good. She had it all together. But I also think about the people that work in corporate America, and I want you guys to think about this. if we don't dot our I's in corporate America and cross our T's, I used to hate that when I would leave corporate America. I'm like, God, did I chart that patient's chart? Did I make sure I put the right, blood pressure down? When I worked in aviation, it was like, did I get the right number of passengers, right? Well, I would go home and fear that if I pissed the boss off, I'd be replaced by the end of the business day, right? When we think about that, I think a lot of us who have been corporate America see that. And so you think, well, if they would fire me or replace me by the end of the business day, why would I rely on them to take care of my life insurance for my family in the event of my death, right? So that's things that we want our clients to think about is we have to think outside of those boxes. So when we talk about life insurance, but we also talk about long-term care insurance, and this is kind of a different story. Many of us think of long-term care insurance as, oh, when I get old and I need a nurse to come in, or I'm going to a nursing home or something like that. Now, when we look at this shows, back up just a bit. So with life insurance, we want to know how much is enough, right? We say 10 times your annual family salary so that your family can carry on. And we see 2 examples of that here. And that's just in life insurance. I got ahead of myself there. And life insurance, when you think about life insurance, what are some of the things that you want to happen with your life insurance besides just your final expenses, right? And this is what we help our clients with when you sit down with your professional, is we go through these different factors that may affect how much life insurance you need or would be desired. So here's 2 different examples of insurance that we often see. One is temporary insurance or term insurance, right? This is just like insurance for your car, just on yourself, right? If you need it, you have it, great. And if you don't, even better. But after that time is over, the insurance is gone. But it's good for leverage for people like myself who may have a mortgage, small children, need to pay for college, have business arrangements. And so that's what it looks like really displayed out. And so we want to help people to understand the different types when you sit down with your professional about how it works. Then we talk about permanent life insurance. Now it's like term, right? It provides a death benefit, but it lasts your entire life. But there's some leverage points to it, right? So it still takes care of those same things that term insurance does, right? It still takes care of your children to last. It may take care of a mortgage, take care of school, but long-term care is another piece that has an option on it. And that's really very interesting on what that looks like in insurance. It's kind of a blind side people don't see. So 3 important benefits of permanent insurance is this. 1 is life insurance for your life. 2, there is a long-term care option that takes care of you, and we'll talk about what that means here in a minute. And then there's a cash value option inside of it. So long-term care insurance, why is this important? Well, 70% of Americans, once they reach the age of 65, are going to need some form of long-term care. And if you think about that, that's 7 out of 10 houses on your block are going to catch fire. Wouldn't you want to know that your house might catch on fire? We probably would insure it a little bit more if we knew 7 out of 10 homes would, right? And so that's really an alarming statistic that we want people to be aware of, so that that's not a blind spot if that happens to hit you. Now, if you're like me, I'm in my early 30s now, but I didn't know about this until I actually had a run-in with it as my mom went through it. So 13 years ago, I found myself having a few decisions to make. My mom was 19. I had a call that said, hey, mind you, I was studying nursing, remember? And they said, hey, she needs this sort of long-term care. She's going to need 24 hours and you got 30 days. Here's the number to call. Bye. Okay. So what happened was she needed long-term care. She was 52 years old. So I had to find her a long-term care option. That's so young. No nursing home will even take anybody that young. So I had $5,000 I had to spend down. I had 30 days. I had to put her in a nursing home. I had to find the nursing home. And I had to provide Medicaid with the receipts. I didn't know anybody in financial services and I didn't know my options. And I found myself with $3,677.12, sitting in a mortuary, having to plan my mother's funeral, who wasn't even on her deathbed, because she had a long-term care occurrence that no one had planned for. And of course they asked me, well, do you have long-term care insurance? And at 19, I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know anybody's grandma who's in this particular instance, right? And so I remember bawling my eyes out, sitting in the car thinking, there has to be a way around this. There has to be a way that this is prevented. And so when I talk to clients, and I hope that it comes across, it's not just us, right? It may not be me at 32, I may not be thinking about it, but I might be stuck or have the pleasure of having to determine that for my parents, right? Or our grandparents. So that's something that we want to think about. Now, how much does long-term care actually cost? So if you stay in more than 1 year, you're probably going to need at least 3.5 to 4 years. But look at the costs. Even if you wanted to keep your loved one at home, it's so much more expensive than even putting them in a nursing facility, right? Now, back in the day when I put my mom in her subpar place, it was 12 grand a month. I don't know, back then I couldn't have paid that, right? That's quite a bit. And so we don't want our families to have to dwindle down any of their assets, but more so plan for that in the event that should come, because 7 out of 10, right? So next we talk about emergency fund, this 3 to 6 month window that we need. Sorry, let me back up here. We have a poll. So for those of you in the room and online, I'm curious to know, how many of you all are concerned about long-term care? We'll give it a poll. I know, me too. I'm curious if we know, give them a few minutes online for them to determine. We'll get those numbers here in a minute. So when we talk about emergency fund, God, we really seen this last year, didn't we, with this COVID that hit? And so many people were waiting on a check from the government in order to pay their rent, feed their kids, and move on. So we help our clients plan for that, at least 3 to 6 months in income, and prepare for unexpected expenses, right? One of the stories I like to tell is I remember one Christmas this time, a little over 5 years ago, when I was in the airline industry. We had a whole line wrapped around our customer service line. And I remember taking a picture, and I was working part-time here with WealthWave. And I said, guys, these are people that don't have any more than $400 to book a flight because there's been an emergency, right? And it was so sad because it would take people days to get out. But that's just one key that we want to touch here. So here's our number. Wow, 77% of the folks online, thank you, Dana, are concerned about long-term care, and the other 23% are not. For those of you who are online who are part of that 77, please get with the person that invited you. Let's talk about that. And really, for the 23% who said no, they're not, still talk to your professional about it, because even though you may not be concerned, you might have parents or grandparents that you are their long-term care plan, right? And you don't know it. Serious, right? And some guy's gonna be in the back and his mom's like, oh, my son. And he's like, I'm not changing diapers, right? So please get with your financial professional. Thank you for that. To know. So next, we talk about debt management, right? And this is one that makes me excited, because remember I told you guys I needed some help when I first came here. But when you sit down with your financial professional, we really want to help you to determine your debt, right? How to analyze your debt. What's good debt? What's bad debt? How do you look at it? How do you eliminate it? One of the big things we're seeing here is student loan debt. God, it's really a pain in the neck. And people are really having to choose between a lifestyle and paying off their student loans. Also, changing your spending habits. And so with that, how do you solve that, right? And so this is really, I love to hear from Marlis, who you've heard about a little bit earlier, but she's the quintessential story really of how to change the game, right? And really what we can do for people in terms of the concepts and how to apply it. She's like the living application of increasing cash flow. So again, she's a mom, she's a grandma, almost twins coming, right? That's so exciting. But really, I'd love to hear from you, Marlis, and your piece on how increasing your cash flow helps here in step number 5.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to ask my poll question first, if that's okay. And my poll question is, do you believe you're on track for a secure retirement? So let's take the answers in here. Who in-house believes they're on track for a secure retirement? And then for those online, answer those questions and we'll get back to them. So as you know, I'm Marlis Nash, and yes, I'm representing the older of the group. And I am going to be, I'm already a grandmother, and I'm going to be a grandmother of twins in June. And so I am ecstatic, as well as I still have an 11-year-old at home. And in fact, she's playing basketball tonight. So why do you need extra cash flow? Well, let me tell you, COVID happened. She's in a private school. They just changed her softball uniforms and they're about $800. It won't be long. She just turned 11 yesterday. It is not going to be long that she needs a car to drive, and then college is coming up. And so kids cost money, and then I'm going to have new grandbabies. And of course I got to be the right grandmother. But not only that, you know, I have 25 years in the mortgage industry. But with the mortgage industry, you're always chasing. You always need a new loan because you close a loan and it's like, what's next? You're always on the hunt for something else. And when I was introduced to this company, it literally sold that because I love my clients and now I work with them from start to finish. And there is nothing better than being able to be with your clients through every step of life as it comes along and teach and educate and make that all happen. Okay, now we have our poll thing. So yes, 42%, no, 58%. So those that are certainly not on track, you know, talk to the person that invited you. We are here to help, and you're going to see where we're helping as we keep talking. So one of the ways that you can bring in more cash flow is get a side gig. And really, I started this business as a side gig. I'm a six-figure earner over here as a side gig. That's you know, kind of exciting. And you can be doing that too, but it doesn't have to be here. You know what? We could do other kinds of deals, and it might be the fastest way to bring in extra money into the home, and that's what's going to change your perspective. The other one is start a business. My husband and I are entrepreneurs. We have bought a franchise in our past as well. So I'm going to tell you, when you start a business, start a low-cost business, because otherwise it can drain everything you've ever worked for. So be smart when you start that business. But I love entrepreneurs. So absolutely, that's one way to increase your cash flow. And then the other one is look at your W-2 allowances. Why are we letting Uncle Sam keep all of our tax returns and then cheering in April when we get a big check back as a refund? Instead, use that money wisely today. Don't let it sit there with Uncle Sam. So, but talk to your CPA before you do that. The other one is build wealth. Now, that's really what everyone thinks we do. They don't even think of those other categories. They just think, oh, that's what my financial advisor does. And it does. It truly is the most exciting piece that we do, because again, we get to see people's bottom lines change. And it is so rewarding when you get to see that happen. So we want that to happen. That is our whole goal, is to teach people how to be wealthy so they can retire when they want to instead of when they have to, okay? But on top of that, we're also going to talk about the impact of taxes, the impact of losses, and the impact of inflation. That's going to come up a little bit, as well as we're going to teach you other ways to accumulate your assets and grow them in the future. You know, I have a finance degree. I worked in mortgages my entire life, and I came here, I had no clue all of the options that you can do to help you in your retirement. So the biggest question is really, will your wealth last as long as you do? And I pray that it does, because that's our goal. We are living healthy, we are exercising, you know, we are drinking water out of a bottle now instead of a faucet. So we are going to live longer. But how sad will it be that we live to be 102 and our money ended at 86? It's not going to be that much fun. So we want to make sure that our money lasts. 63% of people have a greater fear of running out of money in retirement than they do of dying. And I think that's just a horrible statistic. So we're here to help. We're going to kind of look at your retirement plane, or like an airplane. So literally, we need our plane to fly. I'm going to make an assumption that in retirement, we need at least 70% of what we were making in our good years while we were working. So let's assume that somebody needs to retire with $100,000 coming in, because that's what's going to make their retirement the best possible. So yes, Social Security is going to be around. Some of our young kids are going to have to probably work a little longer to get it, but we think it's going to be around. And usually that covers about 40%. So that might bring in $40,000 to your house. An average 60 to 69-year-old has about $195,000 in your 401k. They needed an advisor a long time ago because that's too low, but that's what the average is. So if we turn that into an income stream that will never run out, that's worth about $10,000 a year to last for 2 lives. So now we have 50,000 and we really need 70. So we're $20,000 short in retirement. That's got to come from us. It's got to be put on our shoulders. We have to be responsible to take care of ourselves and make sure that our retirement looks exactly like we want it to look. And everyone's behind. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a millennial, the average they've saved so far is $23,000. If you're a Gen Xer at 66, and God forbid if you're a baby mover like I, and you only have 152,000, you're going to struggle. So there's no time but today. And so that kind of starts me on the 4 threats to a solid wealth building strategy. And the first one is procrastination. You know what? If you procrastinated all your life and you're at my age, then start today. Because it's never too late to start. I fully intend to be here 30 years from now, or maybe even 40 years from now. And so that means I've got 40 years I can still save. I have time if I start today and make it happen. And then more importantly, I'm going to tell you, look your children right in the eye and say, I'm going to teach you one thing, and that is don't procrastinate. You start today, and then go to your grandchildren and say, you got to start today. It's just the rule of the game. I don't care if it's $10 or $20, but the fact is you just got to start today. So don't let them procrastinate. And then we're going to talk about losses. Geez, if you've listened to the stock market in the last week, you know it's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. You still got to play the game because it is where your retirement's going to happen. Inflation, I feel like I'm ending all in bad news. We also know what inflation is happening. You know, gas prices, grocery stores. Have you eaten out in a restaurant lately? Prices have doubled and our paycheck hasn't. So there's got to be a way that we can keep up with these things. And then taxes. If you think taxes are going down, you're kidding yourself. Somebody's got to pay the bill of the last 2 years that we just went through. And it might not be me. I might actually be gone before they actually hit it, but it is going to be some of you, and taxes are going to go up. So make sure you're talking with your advisor about how can I avoid that? I don't want to pay the full brunt of the bill when I'm in retirement. And so help me through that and help me make that happen. And I'm going to finish on protecting your wealth that you have accumulated. That really is through a will, maybe a trust, and your medical directives. Now, my story is very quick. I lost my brother last year. He was in the middle of a divorce, didn't have his stuff done. He was in South Dakota, and guess who got his farm? Guess who got all of his assets? It's basically his ex-wife, not his kids, his ex-wife. That's the saddest story in the world, and shame on me. We have these, we're Transamerica, we're huge. So we have these for you at a very cheap cost. There is no excuse for anybody not to have their estate planning in order because it is valuable. And that's actually, I got to smile. You know what? Life is good. This business is wonderful. So I got to end up on a great note. And with that, I'm going to bring Bianca back and she's going to finish this.
Woo! Yeah,
You can't see me yet, so I'll wait. How about now? Can you see me now?
Yeah.
All right. So next up.
Why is there a dude? What's wrong?
Next up is the most amazing mentor, advisor, really just somebody that wants everybody here to win in this office and honestly in the world, I believe. Somebody that has a 7-figure income, creating so many 6-figure incomes and doesn't ever give up on anybody here. I don't think I've ever seen him quit on any of us, and we are such a bunch to keep up with. But truly just somebody that wants the best from the deepest parts of his heart, so humble and so kind, and just really here to change the world in ways that most of us may never see somebody do it. So welcome, Chris Felton.
Wow. Yeah.
That's some pressure. Herding cats, I will. I am the king cat herder. Anyway, so I want to close out. Basically, awesome job, guys. Love what we stand for, and really here at Wealthway, we do two things. You just learned about how money works. The second part of what we do is we move people from small E, employee, to entrepreneur, big E. And I believe it's the biggest part of the mission. If you follow me on Instagram, I am CF_E2E. I changed my name because I am so super passionate. And what you guys need to understand is you have to make more money, okay? You have to make more money. Follow up with whoever invited you. I'm gonna walk you through why it's really, really important. And when I started this 20-some years ago, being an employee was the safe thing. Being the entrepreneur was the scary thing. What the pandemic taught me was that's flipped. Being an employee, waiting for a $1,200 stimulus check, being in the sucker cycle, not knowing if you have a job or not, that was unsafe. I was fortunate being an entrepreneur, having entrepreneurial friends. We got focused. We ran at the problem. We solved problems. We had a record 2020. We're having a record 2021. There's no mistake. And I'm going to talk about really our business platform. But during the pandemic and watching employees suffer, watching small business owners have 2 weeks worth of savings, they didn't know how money worked. As I said, people waiting for a stimulus check. We have a great, I don't know if Gwen's on or not, but a great agent in Oklahoma, Gwen Hartzler. Things don't happen by accident. They happen for a reason. And what she sent me was this book called Evangelpreneur, written by Josh Tolley. And whether you're a Christian or not, it doesn't really matter. Get the book. It's super powerful. And on January 4th at 10 a.m. on Instagram Live, I will be interviewing him. He's a New York Times best-selling author. Gwen sends me this book, and it's just my intuition screaming at me. I'm like, I got to read this. And what blew me away is he talked about this thing called the inflation wave. And it's horrible, right? Because what actual inflation is, and I think it's even more now, this is before supply chain shock and all those things. He's got the math to prove it. It's not the 2 to 3% that the government's telling you. It's 10%. It's been 10% forever. And then what blew me away was real wage growth in the United States is 3%. Is there a problem there? It's 7% loss per year. Sitting down with clients going, all right, let's take your bills and add 50% to them in the next 5 years. Are your wages gonna keep up? And I remember sitting outside and just looking at people. I'm like, do people really understand what the inflation wave is and how it can impact them? And I got super excited about just wanting to wake people up, right? Because we as humans, studies show that 91% of our thoughts today are the same as they were yesterday. We are in this hypnotic state. We're in this hypnotic trance. And so I wanted to wake people up. And in the book, he gives an example of his neighbor, okay, who had a financial planner, just like everybody else out there. He's 89 at the point in the book. His wife is 78. Okay, he purchased his home in 1953 for $17,400. His financial planner, great guy, did the best he could, advised him, save 10% of your income, right? And pay off your home. You guys heard that? Save 10% of your income, pay off your home, you're gonna be fine. If you have 31 times your income when you retire, you're gonna be safe. 31 times his $5,000 annual income back then is $155,000. Was he safe? Absolutely not. Good advice? No. What happened? They sold their home because they couldn't afford the property taxes that were 3 times more than their old mortgage payment. So Josh's neighbor comes up to Josh. He's like, I gotta move. It's like, what happened? He's like, the inflation went, brother. Your advisor had your best interests at heart, but he had no clue how impactful not keeping up with inflation and how it's going to ruin your retirement. And so I saw that, right? And then, so I'm a Colorado State CSU. Anybody CSU grad?
Oh,
In
yeah.
effect, right? We have to say it every time we speak. The Harvard of the West. We know that. Okay, so I graduated from Colorado. My kids are really smart, and they're like, Dad, CSU is an 89% acceptance rate. All right. I got in. All right. So I graduated in CSU in 1993. My annual income was $26,000. I come across two ladies, awesome ladies, 2019 graduates, 6 figures of student debt. Their income was 38 grand. Do the math. That is 1.41% wage growth. Median US home back then was 110,000. Now it's in 2020, it was 284,000 just on homes alone. That is 6% annual inflation. And they had way more debt than I did. It's not working. So I'm starting to get this. And I'm like, I got to wake everybody up. So I go and sit and have a client appointment with Brent and his wife. Wife, 39. Husband, 42. 3 kids under 12. They had no life insurance, by the way. Unbelievable. We got them covered. They're saving $1,000 a month, 15% of their income. And I sit down with them. I said, hey, you want to retire at 65. You now have $100,000 saved. Okay. This is going to grow to $3 million. And they were like, oh my God, really? We're going to have $3 million? I'm like, that's the good news. The bad news is it's not going to be enough. The bad news is, much like the advisor that said, hey, if you're going to have 31 times your annual income when you retire, you're going to be safe. This is 30 times their annual income. They're not going to be safe. You're not going to be able to live on 75% of what you can't live on right now. It's not going to work. Are they good or no? They're not good. And so what I did, it makes us different. Most advisors would say, here's your life insurance, here's your rollover, here's all that. We're going to go on our merry way, go get them, give you a big old shot of hopium. Anybody ever gotten a shot of hopium before? That's where 96% of society lives, is in hopium. 96% of Americans retire broke, unfortunately. I said, you might want to kick me out of your house. But I'm going to tell you the truth. When would you like to know your house is burning down? As soon as possible. Guys, you need to save money. You are not going to save your way there. You must become an entrepreneur. The only way out of the inflation wave is you got to be a business owner. You got to figure out a business. I had them look at ours. It wasn't a fit for them. But I said, hey, when I come back, you better have a game plan pulled together. I came back. He's like, I love your business. I got some people I think would be a good connection. But I've always wanted to do this real estate business with my brother. We've been talking about it since we were 7, 8 years old. I called him up. We want to spark. I want to be a spark for people. We want to be a spark for people to get them to think about their lives and being an entrepreneur and having time and control and having unlimited financial upside and all those things. And his wife turned to me, he's like, he's getting up early. He's listening to podcasts. He's writing, he's journaling, he's dreaming, he's engaged. He's like, I've been married to that guy for 20 years. That guy's awake. He was a zombie 3 weeks ago because he's actually getting after it. And it's so cool. And so for the last year, ever since I read that book, I'm just sitting down with everybody saying, you must make more money. We're in the gig economy right now. Uber's a gig, Airbnb's a gig. We're a much better version, the professional services version of the gig. But are you hearing me? Follow up with whoever invited you. Think about, brainstorm. We get so stuck on, this is what I make, this is how I make it, and then I'm just gonna get, no, sit down, use your brain. Think about how you can bring more money into your home. It is the only path, it is the only way. And so that's what I love about our mission, right? So they weren't good. And so if you're looking at opportunities, I challenge you to take a look at ours. Our industry is like the taxi cab industry, okay? We're the Uber to that taxi cab industry. And what got me excited back in the day was how big the opportunity is. Literally hundreds of millions of people need our help. We have baby boomers who have not saved enough. Corporate America doesn't love them anymore, okay? We love them. They can do an encore career here. Generation Xers, that's my group. They know corporate America is not going to get it done. They're behind financially. Millennials watched what our industry has done to people. The way our industry works is the less you know about how money works, the more money they make. They want you to be clueless. Schools don't teach it. Hundreds of millions of people need our help. And the average age of an advisor in our industry is 62. 20 years ago is 42. Mainly men, old white guys like me. It's not working, okay? We are diverse. We have the highest percentage of female advisors in the United States by a mile. You guys saw a lot of women today, right? I'm the only guy. David, you and I, right? We're the only guys. Our group's over 50% female. The industry's 18%. Right? We have 18-year-olds, we have 80-year-olds, everywhere in between. We're a diverse melting pot in financial services. And anyway, I highly recommend following up with whoever invited you, actually sitting through one of our overviews. Our next executive lunch overview that I give, a deeper dive into the business, is December 14th at 11:45. We'd love to have you live, Zoom, whatever. It's going to be good. But let me kind of wrap up with just some options, and then Bianca will close it down with kind of a call to action and next steps. But how you engage with us. Number one, client, sit down and do the complimentary review of the 7 money milestones. Okay, go through that process. I've done thousands of those for people. We have tens of thousands of clients. I've had one person in 22 years that had a dialed in. One. That's it. Everyone's got a hole. Everyone needs a second set of eyes. Sit down. Whether you want to put away $100 a month, or you got portfolios, there's lots of things. And unfortunately, where this stuff falls in people's lives is what I call the important non-urgent quadrant of their lives. Just like Marlos' story of her brother. All that stuff was hanging out there. It was important, but what was it? Non-urgent. Until what? It quickly became important and urgent. You don't want to do that. You want to pay attention to the important non-urgent things in our lives, like our health, our relationships, our spirituality. I've been telling the story for the last week. We had a good friend in the company at age 50, healthy, playing golf, celebrates his birthday, stroke, brain dead, passes away within a week at 50. Thank God this company found him, right? Because his family was totally set. If we would not have been involved in his life, who knows where that family would be. And they're set. And it's good stuff, right? What we do is we make a big difference. So get this stuff scheduled, right? Don't procrastinate on it. Follow up with whoever invited you. Do it in the next couple of days. And then take a look at our business part-time. 60% of our group's part-time. 40% is full-time. You heard Marlos. Marlos is one of the greatest examples of a powerful part-time person that just absolutely smokes it over here. And this business has changed her life, as well as everyone that you've heard from. And so do that follow-up once you've seen a deeper dive on it. And then you can transition full-time and take a look at what we do. But what led me here was I worked 120 hours in a 6-day period for my CPA corporate America job. And I was over it. And I'd spent 7 years building it for other people, trading time for money, going into debt, not making enough money. And I was challenged to actually sit down and think. So one of the last things as humans we'll do, we will get distracted. We will do anything but sit down with a pad of paper and really think about what it is that we want. And I just want to close with this, because I think it's really important that we think and we think about it. Just as my friend passed away, and I know he lived the life that he wanted. I know he wanted more time, but somebody challenged him to say, hey, what do you want your life to really look like? And I was fortunate to have that happen back in the day. And I got real excited about having dreams. That's kind of a strange word, isn't it? Not when we were kids, but when we get older, we just kind of quit dreaming. We quit thinking about what's possible. And we just kind of settle in. We settle in our comfort zones. We just kind of get by. We just kind of exist. But I was challenged to actually sit down with a pad of paper and think about what I really wanted my life to look like. And I got really excited about it. But I got quickly depressed because I looked at my career. And I was like, this vehicle is never going to get me what I want. So I made a choice. And it was, I either needed to shrink this to fit inside my current reality, which is what 96% of society does, or I had to go find the vehicle. And through an entrepreneurial journey, I landed here in a room like this, February 1999, unbelievable, kind of skeptical, because that's what us humans do. We don't believe anything's true. And I sat there, my business partner got up and he said 3 things back then that still get me excited today. That still get me excited to talk about this. 22 years later, most guys in our industry, they don't want to do this. No, they're looking for a golf course or a ski slope. No, I love this. I love what we do. And it was the first thing that my partner, Eric, said. He said, hey, we're on a mission to eradicate and stamp out financial literacy in the United States. I said, that's it. That's what I'm missing. I am missing purpose. I'm missing the capacity to go make an impact. There was no purpose in corporate America, except trading time for money and getting by and paying my bills. That is not an inspiring life. So I got excited about the mission. I got excited about part-time, figuring this out, doing what a lot of these people did, part-time, go full-time when it makes sense. But I knew I had to make more money. I knew I had to learn how money worked. And then the last thing he said was you build a business, you help people, you serve it, you wake up on January 1st and you have the opportunity to create a business that your recurring revenue from your business is actually greater than your bills. And on January 1st, you get to work because you want to, not because you have to. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait. No one had ever shown me a path on how to create financial independence. I had bought into that dream. And I'm fortunate, my wife and I have been able to live that for many, many years. And what these guys were saying is, I'm all in and after it. I want tens of thousands of people. My mission is to help people free themselves mentally and financially so they can live an amazing life. I want people to have peace. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is peace. Peace and service and peace of mind. And it's almost impossible to have that peace without having financial peace. And so I heard it, I was excited about it. I got asked some great questions like, who could benefit me? Could this information benefit me and my family? Am I intrigued by this business? I was. And then he said, can you think of a reason why you wouldn't give it a shot? I said, well, I wouldn't know it was going to work unless I actually did give it a shot. And everything's figure outable. I stole it from somebody, right? Everything is figure outable. I knew I'd figure it out. And I knew if I didn't give it a shot, it'd always be in the back of my mind. And then I read an article, USA Today. They interviewed 10,000 people over the age of 80. And they said, if you had to do it differently, what would you have done different? And they all had heartbreaking answers. I would have taken more risk. I would have started that business. I would have done this. I would have jumped outside my comfort zone. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And they all had one thing I never wanted to have, and that was regrets. And so I thank my 20-some-year-old self for taking the small steps, getting after this, and seeing it through, because this business really does have the horsepower to lead you to your ideal life. And so I challenge you to take a look at it, sit through one of our full overviews, hear more about our business, and we would love to further explain our mission. Bianca, are you ready?
Ready.
Round 5.
Round 5.
Round 5 with Bianca.
This is round 5.
I'll probably tear my pants. And then that would totally mess up the whole meal.
Yeah, or make it.
Or make it, you could make it. That's right,
Awesome.
you could make it.
Wow, that was awesome. I hope you guys really enjoyed that as much as I did. And it never gets old. And it doesn't matter if you've been here 2 years or 22 years. What we're doing here for people needs to continue to grow and expand and really just never stop, right? We're relentless here. So first off, if you guys don't have a How Money Works book, please get this into your hands, get this into your family's hands. It will change your life, truly. We're gonna put up a poll here, and we want you guys to please fill it out. I'm just gonna briefly kind of go through some of the questions. If you want to go through the 7 money milestone, please select that first one. We wanna take you through that. We wanna help you get a little bit more knowledge on where your financial house is right now. We're probably gonna find some holes and some ways that we can have solutions to help you guys get on track. The second one, yes, I'm concerned about running out of money. Most people are, right? And even if you're afraid to admit that, still just hold a meeting with somebody, because we want to be able to help you guys regardless of that. Third, yes, I'm concerned about having proper protection, life insurance, and long-term care. Please select that one if you want us to really walk you through. They're all kind of very similar, but please just be honest with us. We want to help you. The next one is, yes, I want to interview for a part-time or full-time position. So Chris just mentioned that before. 60% of the people that we work with are part-time, right? So many people are stuck in a job right now where they know they want more. They know they want to eventually be an entrepreneur. They know they eventually want to have more time freedom or financial freedom. They just don't know where to get started. And that's where our part-time option is a great way for you guys to dip your toes in, to start to see what it's about, to kind of come out of your comfort zone a little bit and really see the person that I'm pretty sure God created you to be, because it's a lot more than most of us think. Next, yes, I know someone that would be interested in the above. So if you know somebody who wants to do what I just said before this, please select that button. And the last one, no, I'm not interested in a follow-up. We're not going to chase you down. Don't worry about it. We're just so glad that you guys got the information tonight, and we're just here to help you. So that wraps up everything for this evening. I'm so grateful that you guys were part of this fun boxing match of financial literacy, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, have a great night.